The United States just moved heavy artillery into Poland using helicopters. Each M777 Howitzer weighs almost 4 tons, yet they were lifted through the air by C-17 Globemaster planes and Chinook helicopters. The sky shook as these massive guns crossed the Bemowo-Piski training area. On the ground, Polish troops watched in silence. They knew this was not a drill, it was a message from America to Russia. This mission is called Atlantic Resolve, but it's more than a name, it's a warning. Every landing and gun position near the Suwałki Gap says one thing: NATO's border will not break. The Suwałki Gap is a 90-kilometer zone between Belarus and Kaliningrad. Experts call it NATO's weak spot. Now, US artillery is locked on it, and Poland is turning into a fortress. With Patriot missiles, HIMARS launchers, Apache helicopters, and M777 Howitzers, a $4 billion loan has made it Europe's shield. But here's the truth. This airlift was not just about moving guns. By the end of this story, you'll understand why this 2025 operation is the strongest signal NATO has sent to Moscow since the Cold War. Late September 2025. Over the forests of Missouri, the sky roars with the sound of C-17 Globemaster planes. Below them, 3.7-ton M777 Howitzers hang on thick steel cables, swinging between earth and power. It looks like a movie, but it's real. These are US artillery cannons flying across Poland. Each one is strong enough to hit targets 25 kilometers away, yet light enough to hang under a helicopter. It's a sight few people will ever forget. The M777 is one of the only howitzers in the world that can be airlifted this way. That's what makes this operation so rare and so important. On the ground, Polish troops look up in silence. They see more than planes and cables. They see history repeating in the clouds. Because this isn't training, it's a demonstration, a message that America's reach is global and its commitment to allies is real. Imagine watching artillery flying through the sky like cargo. Except it's not a test, it's power in motion. So US forces are airlifting cannons into Poland. But why? What mission justifies flying 4-ton guns through the sky? Officially, this is part of NATO's rotation program called Atlantic Resolve. It's described as a routine military movement, nothing more. But in reality, it's a signal to Moscow, a message that the eastern flank is defended and ready. Every sling load, every landing, every cannon placed on Polish soil says one clear thing: NATO will never leave Poland unguarded. This operation began in 2014, right after Russia invaded Crimea. Since then, US forces have rotated through Eastern Europe every year, from Romania to Estonia, building a living shield across the continent. For Poland, it's not about politics, it's about survival. Poles remember what it felt like when help never came in the past. Now, seeing American soldiers and artillery arrive brings a different kind of security. It's like having a guard patrol your neighborhood. Only this guard comes with tanks, missiles, and howitzers. To Russia, this looks like a provocation. To NATO, it's called deterrence, showing strength to avoid war, not start one. Still, every move is watched closely, because one mistake, one wrong flight, one misunderstood order could shift the balance in Europe again. Atlantic Resolve is the name of the mission. But where these guns are landing matters more than the weapons themselves. Because the location, that's where the real tension begins. The Bemowo-Piski training area in Poland isn't new to this kind of action. Back in 2017, the same field was used for sling load drills under an exercise called Saber Strike. At that time, it was only practice. Soldiers trained to lift the M777 Howitzer with helicopters, just to see if it could be done. They were rehearsing for a mission that didn't exist yet. But now in 2025, it's real. What began as training has become armed deterrence. The same sky, the same soil, the same method. But this time, the guns are loaded. It's like rehearsing a play for years, then performing it on opening night. Except the audience is the world, and the stakes are peace and war. In Saber Strike 2017, many countries joined. It was a multinational exercise. Now the operation is led by the United States alone. The lesson learned back then, how to move artillery fast and safely, which is now a real weapon. Training became reality. The lessons of 2017 are now the weapons of 2025. This is not just about soldiers or drills anymore. It's about preparation meeting purpose. And that purpose is clear: to show power before danger starts. So the location has history. But what makes the M777 Howitzer so special that it's worth airlifting through the sky? The M777 Howitzer is not a normal cannon. Each one can fire precision shells more than 30 kilometers away. It's made of titanium, guided by laser systems, and can be moved by air. That means it's light enough to fly, yet heavy enough to decide wars. The M777 is called an ultralight howitzer. It weighs just 3.7 tons, while older guns can reach 9 tons or more. But don't be fooled by the size. It fires the same 155mm rounds as much bigger artillery pieces. That gives it both speed and strength. Its engineers built it for rapid movement, not slow transport. In a few hours, it can be airlifted, deployed, and ready to fire. It's like a sniper rifle that weighs half as much but shoots twice as far. This cannon has already seen real battles. It was used in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Ukraine, where it proved to be deadly and feared. Every time it was deployed, it changed the fight. Its titanium frame cuts weight but keeps full strength, a design made for precision airlifts. That's why the M777 is trusted by the US and allies across the world. A titanium cannon that flies sounds simple, but how do you airlift 3.7 tons of steel and power without disaster? The answer involves precision, teamwork, and zero margin for error. CH-47. Chinook helicopters hover above the ground like giant hornets. Their rotors cut through the air and through the silence. Below them hangs a 3.7-ton M777 Howitzer tied with steel cables. One wrong move, one imbalance, and a $3 million cannon could turn into wreckage, but every lift and drop is perfect. The crews trained for years to make this look easy. In truth, it's one of the hardest operations in the world. The howitzer swings beneath the helicopter, moving with the wind and gravity. A controlled descent is the only thing keeping the gun and crew safe. The pilots and ground teams talk every second through live radios. One mistake could mean loss of lives, or the entire gun destroyed. It's like lowering a grand piano from a helicopter, except this piano can explode. That's how much precision it takes to deliver a single M777 safely. The CH-47 Chinook can lift over 10 tons, yet even with that strength, the balance must be perfect. Every second of flight shows US military skill and discipline at its best. This is not just a move, it's a showcase of expertise. Perfect precision achieved. But why Poland? What makes this location so strategic that America chose it for such a dangerous task? To the northeast of Poland lies the Suwałki Gap. It's a 90-kilometer strip of land between Kaliningrad and Belarus. To most people, it looks like an ordinary area of forests and roads. But to NATO, it's the most dangerous spot in Europe. Analysts call it NATO's Achilles heel, the weakest point on the eastern flank. If Russia ever took control of this gap, it could cut off the Baltic states from all NATO reinforcements. That means Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania could be isolated in days. For NATO, losing the gap would mean losing millions of people behind enemy lines. Now, US artillery is watching that corridor with crosshairs. Every M777 howitzer positioned there acts as a deterrent, a reminder that NATO is ready to respond. It's like guarding one bridge that connects two islands. Lose it, and you lose everything. Russia knows the value of this land. So does NATO. That's why the M77s are here. Not just to fire, but to warn. The Suwałki Gap is now one of the most studied choke points in modern defense strategy. Because whoever controls it, controls the future of Eastern Europe. The gap is critical, but artillery alone doesn't make a fortress. What else is Poland building to hold the line? And now, M777 howitzers. Poland is no longer just hosting NATO troops. It's arming itself to the teeth. A $4 billion loan guarantee has turned Poland into Europe's frontline fortress. This new funding pushed a massive modernization plan that began years ago, but now it's moving at full speed. In February 2025, that loan guarantee accelerated everything. Poland began expanding its arsenal, buying more American-made weapons than ever before. Every new system added to its defense network makes the message clearer. They will not be caught unprepared again. For Poland, this is not about politics. It's about memory. They remember the invasion of 1939. They remember the Soviet occupation that lasted for decades. And they remember 1989, when they finally won back their freedom. That's why this buildup feels personal. It's like a homeowner who once faced a break-in, now installing cameras, alarms, and guard dogs to make sure it never happens again. Poland's military growth is now the fastest in Europe. Its location near Russia drives every decision. And with the help of the United States, Poland now has more US weapons than some NATO members combined. But here's the question: Poland's arsenal is growing fast. So who approved all this spending? The answer leads to a major US decision that changed everything. In August 2025, the US State Department approved a $200 million deal for Poland's military support. It covers repairs, ammunition, and training for the crews who operate the M777 Howitzers. Every shell fired here now carries a US signature of commitment. This isn't just a weapon sale, it's a promise. A promise that America stands behind Poland's defense. The $4 billion loan guarantee funds the purchases, but this sustainment package keeps the system alive for years. It ensures the guns are ready, the parts are replaced, and the soldiers are trained. It's like co-signing a loan. You're not just helping someone buy something, you're committed to their success. But the question remains, what message does this airlift truly send? Because it's not just about logistics, it's about power, precision, and purpose. The airlift isn't just logistics, it's theater, a show of reach, precision, and unity. For every M777 howitzer that lands, a warning echoes eastward. We can arrive anytime. This operation was never meant to be hidden. It's fully visible. NATO wants Russia to watch, because deterrence only works when the enemy knows your strength. It's like flexing your muscles in front of a bully. You're not trying to fight. You're showing you're ready if they try. Every flight, every sling load, every landing is recorded, broadcast, and studied. Russia's propaganda calls it aggression, but NATO calls it defense, a visible promise to protect its borders. Airlifting artillery is rare. Doing it publicly is a statement that says, we're not hiding, we're prepared. The message has been sent. The guns have landed. But what happens next? Because deterrence isn't noise, it's silence. As dusk falls over Bmowo-Piski, the guns are loaded. Coordinates are set. No speeches, no press cameras, no crowds, only quiet readiness. Because deterrence isn't noise, it's the silence before anyone dares to move. The M777 howitzers are now fully operational. Each one can fire within minutes if a threat appears. Every barrel points east, toward the direction everyone understands but no one says aloud. For Poland, this is more than military posture. It's peace of mind, the comfort of knowing the United States stands with them. It's like a guard dog that doesn't bark, but everyone knows it's watching. That silent presence keeps the neighborhood safe. Russia calculates risks carefully, and every M777 placed in Poland makes that risk higher. These guns are not here to fire first. They're here to stop a war before it starts. The firing points are already prepared. If needed, the artillery can engage targets instantly, with no setup time. The guns are ready. The message is sent. But what does this mean for the future of NATO's eastern flank? Here's the truth. The M777 airlift wasn't about moving artillery. It was about proving capability. America showed it can deploy precision firepower anywhere in Poland within hours. That's not a threat. It's a promise. And Russia knows exactly what that means. People think deterrence is about having weapons. They're wrong. It's about showing you can use them. Flying 4-ton howitzers into Poland near the Suwałki Gap and doing it publicly. That's deterrence in action. Poland spent decades vulnerable. War, occupation, fear. Now it has Patriots, HIMARS, Apaches, and M77s. America's $4 billion guarantee didn't just buy weapons, it bought security. Deterrence works when enemies believe you'll act. And this airlift proved it. Late September 2025, Bmowo-Piski, Poland. One operation changed everything. The Suwałki Gap is no longer weak. Now it's watched, ready, and protected. From 2017 rehearsals to 2025 reality, the M777 airlift into Poland became NATO's strongest deterrence message on the eastern flank. America didn't just send artillery. It sent a promise. You just learned about 3.7-ton titanium howitzers, CH-47 airlifts, the Suwałki Gap's danger, and Poland's $4 billion buildup. Proof that flying artillery is the ultimate message of commitment. If this operation stunned you, subscribe for more defense stories, NATO missions, and strategic power moves that keep the world safe. Which shocked you more? The M777 Airlift, Poland's arsenal, or the Suwałki Gap's weakness? Drop a comment below.